bank reported earnings. So we talked about last month how you can invest into your banks.
Yes.
And we can pull the little articles up. We had several different banks on Tuesday report earnings. Right, this is when they report all their numbers, how much money they made, how much money they spend, what they spend their money on, and what's going on within their business. So J.P. Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, all these top banks that you can invest in. We talked about that last week. The banks reported they all reported strong revenue from equities trading. You always do well with the reading, the big articles, brother.
Let's do it. The banks also reported strong revenue from equities trading. My fault. CEOs weighed in on the state of the consumer and discussed how they're thinking about artificial intelligence. JP Morgan CEO said all of the company's major businesses posted record revenue last quarter. He added that the U.S. economy has demonstrated notable resilience this year with stronger business investment and hiring. Diamond said artificial intelligence has helped the banks cut up to 40% of jobs in certain roles, though he noted that most of these people were offered positions elsewhere in the company, most of them. JP Morgan stock rose 2.5 for the day. That's insane. Bank of America CEO, meanwhile, said it was one of the strongest quarters to date for his company. Every business segment reported double-digit net income growth, a strong and strong returns on equity. He told CNBC that it's up to management teams to mitigate the impact from AI job losses. Goldman Sachs CEO said the bank's deals backlog is at the highest level in 5 years, which bodes well for revenue in future quarters. Solomon also told CNBC that he sees AI as making people more productive, but that it shouldn't affect headcount. Goldman Sachs rose 9%.
9%.
Man.
So before we get to the charts, man, first, your thoughts right off the bat.
All three of these banks, first of all, major banks, everybody knows about these banks. First of all, JP Morgan said he cut
40% right there.
40%. JP Morgan cut 40% of jobs or certain roles, right? And then lightweight offered the job back, whatever. He made money off of these people leaving the company. Now, all of these banks are, let's say, investing into artificial intelligence. They're like kind of backing it by their words. They're saying that this is what be. I like the way that this is going, so maybe we have to look into this. And keep in mind that all these banks are in cahoots, right? They all trade, they all do and manage money, right? They're looking out for themselves and what's the best interest of the bank. So they're not really worried about what other people got going on outside of the bank. That's why they're making these type of decisions, as well as these type of let's call it money moves, because it impacts the bank. Now, it's funny because we've always been talking about how these top 500 companies are getting into AI, putting so much money into AI, and now the banks are following their lead. Insanity.
Yeah, man. And it's happening right in front of our faces, which is why we ain't just talking about the stocks and AI and all these other assets just because, this is what all the big money in the world is doing. You heard it. Bank cut up to 40% of jobs in certain roles. The banks are cutting jobs.
Yeah.
And 40%, that's a hefty amount. You know
for
what I'm
AI.
saying? When the earnings season comes around, what's been going on in our economy. Things have been high. You got people feeling like they're people who are banking with these guys feel like they don't got enough money in their bank account with these guys.
Yeah.
And then you got on the other side the people who actually know how to make this money and know how this money works. The other people who are banking with these guys, they got a lot of money in their bank account to now have more benefits of banking with these guys, right? And that's just the name of the game right now. You know what I'm saying? Because during these times where as inflation is rising, we got some live news, but as inflation is rising, asset prices rise. And if you got some assets, you got your bank account rising. And the more money you got in that bank account, the more money JP Morgan, Chase, Citibank, all these guys get. So, you'll benefit a lot from looking into whatever bank you use. If you're somebody who has Bank of America, Citibank, or JP Morgan, if you got Chase, look into investing into these companies. The beautiful thing about learning about the stock market is you can see exactly how it affects our lives day to day.
Okay.
And it's right here. So let's move on. Let's move to the chart a little bit. I want to look up, JP Morgan, Chase. Let's look at their chart, right?
Crazy gap up.
So on a daily time frame, we're at 346. This is about to be a $400 stock, right? We came in May 2026 from a low of 290, right? And we just been rising. This is about to be a $400 stock, man. And some people probably don't got $400 in their Chase bank account. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. The power of knowing the stock market. You know what I'm saying? You got Citibank. Let's look up Citi right there. Citigroup. Boom. Ooh. They had a breakout. I think the last time I looked at this stock, it was like, okay, I was talking out of my neck. I was gonna say like $60, but that wasn't too long ago. That was last year. I haven't looked at Citi in a minute. Wow.
Citi's right now trading at 134, bro.
This is a nice chart.
No cap.
Since April, this just from this point right here, April 2025, you got Citibank with a percentage gain of 165% at the high.
Crazy.
You didn't turn $55 to $150 at the high.
No cap.
Right? So that's Citibank for the people who invested into Citibank. What's next? What do we have?
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs is GS. We got Goldman Sachs, right? Looking $1,100 stock right here. Goldman Sachs, man. Crazy.
You ever looked at this chart?
No.
I ain't never looked at this chart. 1,100 for the bank stock?
No.
When?
And if I did, I ain't looked at it since it was down here.
Oh my goodness.
When it came from 450 to
last
all the way
year
up here. So look,
like
this is a prime example. These banks have been thriving right under our nose when it comes down to the economy not thriving so well,
right.
So look, man, all goes back to what we talked about a minute ago. You want to invest into the companies that really impact the GDP of America, and if they, the banks, I don't know what their impact on the GDP is. It's probably not as much as the Magnificent Seven like we spoke about, but you take that out and you just focus on the fact that America is run on these top banks, right? Goldman Sachs we already know that's like the creme of the creme when it comes down to banks. Chase, we know you got JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, you got Bank of America. These banks have been around for ages, man. So take advantage of these banks, whichever one you got. Just take advantage of the stock market. Just more reason to take advantage of the stock market. You got anything to say about the banks?
Yeah, man. Not only are these banks hitting numbers when it comes to their stock prices, but all these banks are digging into crypto as well. They're all getting into tokenization. Citibank, I made a whole report, 5 series. I think it was like 6 series report on Citibank getting into tokenization. They're coming out with their own WAP, man. Chase, same. They're partnering with a lot of people, but yeah, getting into it, man. These guys, 1,100 for the stock. I would have never even imagined.
Right,
I would have never thought. I thought it was crazy that we was looking at what was it? Was it Chase that was like?
Yeah, it was Chase that was like 300, 400.
Yeah. Insane.
Bank of America, this is the one that's a little cheaper, but up 24%, like we talked about, from 49 to 61, right? More all-time highs. You never want to buy at the all-time highs, but look, these banks, there's always somewhere to make money in the stock market, man. We're just doing our due diligence of showing up here and making this aware to you guys every day. But if you were to take this and run with it and listen to what we say and learn for yourself and go find your own sauce, you'll be able to go figure out your own little path to success in the stock market, whatever works for you, because It's all subjective.
Yep.
Flash got his way in the market. I got my way in the market, right? We came together and put our ways together, helping you find your way in the market, man. Even if you a girl and you like Ulta, you like the e.l.f., right? You like the makeup and the skincare products, you can invest into that, you know? And for my dudes who watch us, man, you are really tripping if you ain't putting your girl onto no game about what we be talking about.
Okay.
If you know a little bit and you watching these videos and you ain't getting nobody started in no crypto or no ETFs or nothing, you know, you gotta really ask yourself, what are you there for? We always be worried, looking to, you know, see, you know, what the girl could bring to the table, but you really gotta look in the mirror and ask whether or not you really building. You know what I'm saying? Is you showing up? Is you putting the work in? You know, that's all I gotta say about that.
No cap, because it's a tight ship. You know what I'm saying? You're as strong as your weakest link. So imagine you know how to run a whole business, but your girl don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you in the same boat.
That's it. That's it. So if she knowing nothing, man, that's your fault.
Yeah.
No cap.
No cap.
You know, not saying your girl gotta be business savvy just like you, but she gotta know something if you putting in this work knowing it all, you know?
No cap.
So look, man, I don't even know how we got there, but hey. Oh, circling it back to the fact that all this information, we just here making the information aware, and you take that and run with it how you want to run with it. But we keeping you guys up to date because we know y'all ain't gonna go in to do the reading like we are. You ain't gonna do that. Wednesday. Today. So